and staying there the next. But the guards at the company saw that there were a whole bunch of women alone, and they started to threaten us, saying that they were going to rape us, that they were going to burn the tent down with us inside, but also that if any of us left the tent unguarded for even a second, that the company had given orders as well for them to burn the tent and thus dismantle this whole protest and everything that we had gained in the process.
Hubieron muchas series de presiones de una y de otra forma. También cuando estábamos allá afuera en el transcurso de esos 3 años llegaron muchos sindicatos y organizaciones sociales, y ahí, estando en ese conflicto, fue que yo conocí a Cactus, y porque ellos llegaron ahí también pues a darnos un apoyo, y también nos llevaban los sindicatos y las otras organizaciones, nos llevaban comida y cocinábamos ahí en la carpa para las personas que estábamos como ahí permanentes en la lucha en la carpa.
We faced a lot of challenges throughout the 3 years that we were in this protest. We also got support from a number of organizations, including other NGOs, other unions. That's actually how I found out about Cactus, is that they came to the tent to give us some support. This was how we were able to feed ourselves throughout this time from organizations that helped us buy groceries so that we could cook in the tent and maintain this struggle.
También, pues, cuando nos reuníamos con el abogado y esto, pues uno hablaba y le decía al abogado pero que cuando nos íbamos a poder ir a buscar trabajo, pues porque ya también hay uno pues sin poder recibir un peso ni nada. Entonces, él un poco hablaba y decía pues que no, entonces también como ellos nos amenazaban, entonces él también decía cosas para que ellos pues como que a ver si agilizaban el proceso. Entonces un día dijo que si no nos arreglaban rápido nos íbamos a tomar la empresa. Entonces, como tenían a todos los trabajadores, que eran mayoría compañeros de nosotros cuando estábamos adentro, entonces los enviaban afuera a que se enfrentaran con nosotros. Entonces, un día llegamos después de hablar con el abogado y ahí en toda la puerta habían puesto ese tractor y estaban todos los trabajadores afuera echándonos vainazos y sí, enfrentamientos vocales porque nosotros nos íbamos a tomar la empresa, y entonces a ellos les decían que con uno solo de nosotros que entráramos, ellos también iban a perder su trabajo porque nosotros ya no los íbamos a dejar ingresar.
We were talking to the lawyer a lot, just asking, like, when is this going to end? When are we going to be able to work again, to earn money to support our families? And he was trying to find ways to expedite the process, especially seeing that we were being threatened and pressured a lot. And one day he suggested that we actually take over the company from inside, like occupy the company. But someone from the company heard him say this and heard about these plans, and so the next day they sent out workers from inside the company to confront us at the gates. They were out there with the tractor blocking the entrance and were harassing us, yelling things at us, and saying that they had been given orders that if any one of them let any of the workers outside in the protest step onto company property, that they would all be fired.
Después de los 3 años, entonces el abogado nos dijo que ya podíamos levantar la carpa porque el proceso ya lo había tomado la Superintendencia de Sociedades, y pues ellos a nomás solucionaran los conflictos, entonces iban a priorizar el pago de todo lo que nos adeudaban a los trabajadores pues que estábamos afuera.
3 years into this protest, the lawyer said that we could end this demonstration with the tents because we had gotten a mediation, and that process was going to come to a solution in which the company would agree to pay the workers everything that they were owed and to pay all of their debts.
El proceso duró 11 años. A los 11 años la superintendencia nos llamó y nos dijo pues que fuéramos, que ya nos tenían todo lo que nos adeudaban, entonces que nos acercáramos a recoger el pago. Y cuando llegamos ahí no hubo una preferencia de decir no, usted duró 25 años, usted se le debe tanto, no, sino a todos por igual nos dieron entre 500,000 y 1,000,000 de pesos a la persona que más le dieron, que supuestamente eran las más antiguas.
The mediation took 11 years to conclude. In the 11th year, we got this call saying that, okay, we're ready to pay you. We have your money ready. Just come and collect it. And we went, and there were some workers that had been involved in this case that had been with the company for 20, 25 years when they were locked out. But there was that wasn't reflected at all in the settlement. In the end, to all of us, they gave between $250 and $500 total per worker.
Ahí hubieron muchos atropellos, hasta de echarnos un carro por encima, o sea, porque ellos lo que querían era pues que nosotros nos quitáramos, y pues nosotros aguantamos ahí 3 años, y es un poco ver que las leyes colombianas no priorizan los trabajadores, sino priorizan es a los empresarios, porque un proceso de 11 años para uno no recibir ni siquiera lo que le adeudaban antes de que lo sacaran, que ya era prácticamente lo que uno se había ganado. Entonces es un poco triste. Bueno, ya ahí terminé un poco mi experiencia como trabajadora de flores. Ahora les voy a comentar un poco sobre otro proceso, pero ya no como trabajadora de flores, sino como acompañante a un proceso, ya estando trabajando en la corporación Cactus.
This whole process, there were so many challenges that we faced. Lots of different forms of intimidation, including the company at one point trying to run over workers with a car because their only interest was removing us from our demonstration in front of the company. And then on top of that, after an 11-year mediation and seeing the settlement that we got in the end, is just fairly clear illustration of how the laws in Colombia don't favor workers, but employers and companies. Because with this settlement, we weren't even paid the back pay that the company owed us at the time that we were locked out of the company, let alone everything else for what we went through afterward. So that was just a bit about my experience as a flower worker. I'd now just like to share a little bit about the work that I've been doing with Cactus, accompanying other flower workers at different companies.
En esta empresa iban a hacer lo mismo que hicieron en la empresa donde yo estaba, pero entonces los empleados lo que hicieron fue tomarse en la empresa y armar la carpa dentro de la empresa.
The first group of workers that I accompanied was going through a very similar situation in a different company, but their strategy was to take over the company and occupy the building instead of setting up a demonstration outside.
Yo allí básicamente lo que hice fue llevarles unos materiales para que ellos aprendieran un poco qué más podían hacer para poder defender sus derechos, y un poco también cómo contarles la experiencia que yo había tenido allá en la empresa donde yo estaba. Y
in my work with Cactus, I would go meet with the workers and bring educational materials around their rights as workers and how to defend those, and share my experience share my experience from the company that I had worked for and this dispute that we had gone through.
Allí nosotros hicimos marchas, salimos al municipio a hablar con el alcalde, a comentarle un poco lo que estaba sucediendo en esta empresa, pero como todos los gobiernos locales están un poco unidos con los grandes empresarios, pues no fue nada lo que se pudo hacer. La empresa todavía sigue ahí. Los trabajadores todavía siguen ahí. Lo que pasa es que ellos cuando hacen esto es cuando no hay muchos pedidos, que cuando hacen más pedidos es en San Valentín y en el mes de mayo. Entonces ahí es donde ellos aprovechan para hacer todas estas masacres laborales, y así pues pueden cumplir con los pedidos y pueden seguir trabajando, ahí sí como dicen, engrosando su colchón.
And with these workers, we also organized marches. We had a meeting with the mayor's office, but there's such a close alliance between some of the local government officials and the companies that it was really hard to see any changes. And actually, this case hasn't really advanced very much. The workers are still there in the occupation. And so another point to mention is just that the companies typically take advantage and commit these types of labor abuses and mass firings and lockouts during the low season. So after Valentine's Day and Mother's Day and all the demand that's coming from the states, they're able to meet that demand by exploiting workers throughout those months, and then as soon as the demand drops, just letting all the workers go. And this way they're still able to thicken their mattress, as she said, and maintain their profits without providing workers with rights and benefits.
Como pueden ver, esta flor ya está pasada de corte. Se le dice así allá en Colombia porque cuando ya está así no sirve para exportar. Entonces es un poco increíble pensar que ellos prefieran botar toda esta flor cuando hacen estos procesos y no pagarle a los trabajadores lo que les adeudan.
So this is an example of whole fields of flowers that are just going to go to waste because they're considered to be too open to cut. And this is the companies letting these flowers simply be thrown away instead of trying to sell them or do anything with them at the same time that they're exploiting workers and say that they don't have the money or the resources to pay them with.
Bueno, muchas gracias.
Thank you.
El sector de la floricultura es un claro ejemplo de cómo las promesas que le han hecho al pueblo colombiano y el gobierno nacional no se han cumplido. Por ejemplo, el sector de la floricultura internacional, el Tratado de Libre Comercio, prometió más y mejores empleos, y en el mismo sector de la floricultura, en los últimos 5 años, según el gremio Vasocoflores, que son los empresarios, se han perdido 30.000 empleos.
The flower industry is a really clear example of how the promises that the Colombian government made to the Colombian people around all of the benefits that the free trade agreement with the United States would bring have not materialized at all. One of the things we were told was that the free trade agreement would lead to more and better jobs. And the flower industry is a clear example of how the opposite is happening. The flower companies themselves say that in the last 5 years they've lost 30,000 jobs from the industry.
Es, por ejemplo, un hecho también que desde el 2012 que se firmó el Tratado de Libre Comercio han venido disminuyendo empleos en el sector agrícola, aproximadamente 150.000, 75.000 en el sector minero-energético, que es la principal economía, y la implementación del plan de acción laboral ha sido como un maquillaje, nomás internacionalmente, pero no ha tenido efectos reales en la calidad de vida de los trabajadores y trabajadoras colombianas.
You can also see it that since 2012, when the free trade agreement was actually entered into force, the agricultural sector has lost around 150,000 jobs, and the mining and energy sector, which is the largest export from Colombia, has lost 75,000 jobs. Also in how the Labor Action Plan, which really served more as political cover in order to be able to pass the free trade agreement, has not been implemented in any meaningful way for workers on the ground.
Bueno, hay mucho que hacer en nuestro país, pero principalmente esta gira, agradeciendo Acción Permanente por la Paz, lo que nos permite pues es traer una realidad colombiana y decirles que la voz de ustedes como consumidores aquí en Estados Unidos es muy poderosa y que seguramente si esa voz tiene alguna repercusión tanto en el sector académico como en las familias, como en los representantes, en sus representantes, congresistas y demás, puede tener alguna incidencia en el mejoramiento de calidad de vida de los trabajadores colombianos.
So there's a lot to do still in our country, but one of the things about that this tour is allowing us to do is to share some of the realities that Colombia is facing with people like you, and share this message that your voice as U.S. consumers is incredibly powerful throughout different sectors, whether that's through academia, with your families, with your congressional representatives and policymakers, any way that you're able to do advocacy for better working conditions for Colombia can be very powerful.
Muchas gracias, la idea es conversar un ratito.
Thank you. So now if there's
Great, so we have maybe 15 minutes or so for questions. If you are a Spanish speaker, I'd ask that you ask first in English and then in Spanish. Is that your preference, Julia?
yeah, because otherwise they'll respond right away, and then the translation is hard to catch up
yeah,
with.
then you start having a conversation. So, yeah, are there questions? Yeah.
As consumers, what can we do? Should we just stop buying flowers for Mother's Day and Valentine's Day?
Como consumidores estadounidenses, ¿qué podemos hacer? ¿Debemos dejar de comprar flores para esos festivos?
Bueno, nosotros no estamos promoviendo el boicot, creemos que esa es una decisión muy personal pues de cada consumidor, porque por algo se consumen, ¿no? Las flores por algo se compran. Creemos que una es la labor de incidencia, como lo decíamos, socializando la información que venimos a traer. Esa es una labor muy clara, ustedes no se imaginan lo poderosa que es. Gracias a una campaña internacional en los 90s, para empezar el nuevo milenio, se erradicó el trabajo infantil en la floricultura, y fue gracias a la voz de los consumidores. Y en términos más concretos, si digo mucho, me cortas.
Sí, ya de una.
Estamos impulsando la campaña 14 de febrero, Día de los Trabajadores y las Trabajadoras de las Flores, a nivel internacional. En varios países ha sido muy bien aceptada, en países tanto productores como consumidores, Kenia, Ecuador, Colombia, y consumidores como Alemania, Estados Unidos, Inglaterra, se han venido solidarizando, y para el 14 de febrero hacemos que esta voz gire bastante. Eso alerta al sector empresarial.
We as an organization aren't promoting a boycott. We think that that's a decision that consumers, like that's a personal decision for you to make regarding like if you want to consume flowers or why people consume flowers. We support advocacy for better policies. And so part of that is sharing the information that you've heard about, that you've learned about with people in your circles. And again, recognizing the power that especially the international consumers have in Colombia. One of the clearest examples of this we saw was a campaign in the 90s on an international level to eradicate child labor in the flower sector that was successful. And so, again, just recognizing the power of your voice as a consumer to demand the types of conditions that you would like to see in the industry. And another really concrete campaign that we're promoting is the making February 14th be International Flowers Workers Day. Just connecting consumers of flowers in the United States, England, Germany, with the producers in countries like Colombia and Ecuador, and recognizing the labor that goes into those flowers that people in those countries are consuming.
And I'll add on to that just really briefly in terms of policy work that can be done. The Labor Action Plan within the Colombia Free Trade Agreement is not binding, but it is supposed to be achieved before the Free Trade Agreement is fully enacted. So that's something that we can be pressuring our members of Congress to implement. The Labor Action Plan calls for no subcontracting of flower workers, for example, which is a major problem and continues, and so letting your members of Congress know that that continues to happen. And then I'd say also that the evaluation of free trade, we know the problems with NAFTA, and that's for the model, and clearly the problems with the new bilateral trade agreements, and that should lead us to a critique of future free trade agreements. Right now, we're negotiating what's called the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which is a huge and fairly terrifying trade agreement. And so at the very least, we should be thinking about how we can use these examples of how free trade works and how it affects workers to provide further critique into the models that are being negotiated now.
Yo también quisiera complementar que la lucha es a nivel político, estructural, y también en términos de la solidaridad con los trabajadores colombianos. Estamos recogiendo en todas nuestras presentaciones un mensaje de los consumidores hacia los trabajadores, que seguramente por medio de clases de inglés de los colegios y demás, vamos a hacerlos llegar a los papás trabajadores de flores, y la solidaridad de los consumidores también en concreto da mucha fuerza a los trabajadores de reconocer que su trabajo es importante. Eso para llevarlo a un campo menos político, muy subjetivo en concreto.
In addition to structural issues and kind of policy issues that you can be working on, another thing that we see as really important is direct solidarity and expressing support and solidarity with flower workers in Colombia. At different events, we've been just collecting messages on the cards that we're passing around for flower workers. So if you want to jot down just a quick message in English or Spanish, and we can have folks translate it and share those with the workers.
Yeah, there was a question over here, sir.
Does the flower industry damage the local food production?
Si la industria, si la floricultura daña a la producción de alimentos a nivel local y nacional.
Totalmente. Cuando llega el monocultivo de exportación, de hecho cualquier monocultivo para la exportación en nuestro país, dañan los cultivos de alimentos, ya sea flores, por ejemplo en las flores lo que pasa es que después de sembradas varios años el suelo queda inservible. Para recuperarlo se requieren como otros 30 años de recuperación de suelo para volver a sembrar alimentos. Lo que se implantan son bodegas, zonas francas, eso es lo que está pasando en la sabana de Bogotá, pero pasa lo mismo con otros monocultivos como el de la caña, el de la palma de cera.
Menos flores, más comida.
Menos flores, más comida, es la
Y
propuesta.
menos pavimento, más alimento.
¿Cómo? Pavimento.
Menos pavimento, más alimento.
Menos cemento.
Eso, menos cemento, más alimento.
Yeah, definitely. And actually, any monoculture for export in Colombia damages our food production, whether that's flowers, whether that's sugarcane, palm oil, or African palm for palm oil. Particularly flower production, well, and the others, render the soil unusable. After that soil has been used up and it's no longer productive for flowers, it's also not productive for food crops. And so that soil would need about 30 years to recover. So what happens is that the warehouses and other industry just get built on top of the land. So it doesn't ever get converted back to food production. And so they said less flowers, more food. And Josefa added also less concrete, more food. Which, and just to add to the questions around boycotts, I think that that's another piece of this. That's really important in both countries, is supporting social processes around food sovereignty and diversified agriculture. So whether that's community gardens, family gardens, organic food production as well. So instead of having flowers produced, coal, oil, biofuels, a lot of things in Colombia that are taking up fertile land and then importing mass-produced GMO agriculture from the United States to feed people, make it possible for people in Colombia to grow food and also for people in the United States to grow food.
Yeah.
If there are jobs in the fair trade flower industry there available, I mean, or if they're very, few and far between, because I have ordered some flowers before online from, I forget the name of the website, but they claim that all of their flowers and, plants are fair trade and they're organic, and I just wondered, if it's.
Do you know if they're coming from
Well,
Latin America or from
That's what I'm
Colombia?
not sure.
La pregunta es si existe trabajos o si existe una industria de floricultura.
Cool. We'll talk
de
a little bit
comercio
about fair
justo.
trade, sure.
O sea, cómo es el tema de comercio justo en la floricultura.
El sector de las flores colombianas tiene su propio sello de conducta, código de conducta, se llama Flor Verde. Hay otros en alianza también con Estados Unidos como Rainforest Alliance, otro con Europa, FLP, pero el que sea una industria con tanta subcontratación hace que las grandes empresas subcontraten, y en la subcontratación por cooperativas de trabajo asociado y empresas de servicios temporales se pierda la responsabilidad de las grandes empresas. Entonces aquí llegan con sello, pero las condiciones no han cambiado.
Yeah, the Colombian flower companies created their own stamp, fair trade stamp, that's called the Green Flower Certification, that supposedly certifies different like different practices and conditions around environmental and labor conditions in those companies. There's also some that use Rainforest Alliance certification with the US and another one with the European Union that's FLP, I think. But the reality is that the industry is so subcontracted and there's so many other subsidiaries and affiliates that it's impossible to know if the company that's certifying, like the parent company that certifies that its conditions, that like these conditions are met, is really what's happening, because there's temporary employers, there's these falsely named worker cooperatives that are actually really exploitative entities. There's a lot of different strategies that are used to avoid a direct relationship between the workers and one particular company. So it's impossible to know if the product that you're buying here that has a fair trade stamp on it actually reflects realities for workers on the ground.
And I'll just add really briefly around just fair trade decisions, consumerist decisions in general, is that fair trade movements are meant to allow us to raise standards or to know that there are certain types of ethical standards in the workplace, but it's also really outsider enforced. It's a model that's coming from the outside and is saying this is the way that you should be just to your workers, and oftentimes isn't very sustainable or doable, especially for small scale businesses. You have to bring in, like if you have a cooperative with a lot of small farms, you have to bring in an outside international certifier to visit each of those farms and make sure that there isn't a 16-year-old who's helping their family, run the farm. And so it gets really tricky, although it's certainly well-intentioned and one of the ways that we're trying to, increase working rights standards. I'd say fair trade purchasing decisions for me falls into the same category as boycott